Welcome to Working from Home with EndNote. My name is Soraya Layton. I'm a librarian with the Research Medical Library. I'm joined today by my colleague David Ferris, and he is going to help with monitoring the chat box. So if you have any questions throughout today's session, please put them in the chat box marked to everyone. That way we can all read the question and follow along with the answer. This class will be taught using EndNote X9. MD Anderson staff and students can a free upgrade to EndNote X9 on their MD Anderson issued computer or laptop by contacting 4Info. 4Info can remote in to your desktop and download and install the EndNote program for you. You can reach out to library staff Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. via texting the library. You can also book a consultation with a librarian or scientific editor via Skype or Zoom. You can also chat with a librarian during this time for more immediate assistance. And you can also email the library at rml-help@mdanderson.org. So first, we're going to talk about the way to access EndNote. So with that poll, we know it looked like a lot of people were either on campus or hybrid. However, if you were strictly working from home and you were using VX Remote or using a personal computer, your option is going to be EndNote Online. This is a free account. The downside is it doesn't have as many features as EndNote Desktop, which is the second way of accessing EndNote, which is EndNote Desktop. And the library highly recommends this option if it's available for you. It has more functionality and it's a lot easier to use. So you can use EndNote Desktop if you are using VPN or VeloCloud, if you're on an MD Anderson issued computer, or if you're using multiple computers, this is a great option as well. Especially if you're hybrid, if one of the computers is your MD Anderson laptop at home and then your MD Anderson computer on campus, this is perfect for you. So this slide shows the reasons behind why you're using either EndNote Online versus EndNote Desktop. And if you haven't made the decision of which one to use, this can help you choose for which fits best for your work environment. If you're still unsure, please reach out and contact us and we can help you decide which works best. Now that you've decided on how to use the specific EndNote, whether it's online or EndNote Desktop, before you begin a new project, I want you to think about the following questions. You need to think, if you have other collaborators, are they using EndNote? If someone in your project is using a different reference manager, you might want to have the conversation of, should we have one person who has EndNote Desktop to be responsible for inserting and managing the references? You also need to ask, what version are the other collaborators using? Have they upgraded to EndNote X9? If someone is using an older version of EndNote, have them update to EndNote X9. This is free for MD Anderson staff and students. And really, everybody needs to be using the same program to make it easier for everyone and to be on the same page. You need to think about how long you plan on working on this project. If you're working on an abstract, that might take a month or two versus maybe if you're working on a book chapter or a book, and that maybe is taking a year or 2 years. Depending on how long this project is going to be, you might have two different paths for how you're going to collaborate with other authors. And we'll go into this shortly. You need to think about, are you using more than one computer? And is that computer a personal computer or is it an MD Anderson issued device? The reason we're asking that is from the previous slide, because that will determine if you are using EndNote Desktop versus EndNote Online. Hopefully these are questions you've already been thinking of. However, if this is brand new information, I have created a PDF of a checklist for this as something that you can think about before you begin a project. And you can also send this out to coworkers or other collaborators as a way to get the conversation going, because you want to communicate beforehand what steps are we going to take, because at the end, if you haven't communicated these choices and decisions, there's a lot more room to have confusion and then possible errors in your manuscript. The next step is we're going to show a few best practices and then some helpful tips. So the first thing is best practices for sharing an EndNote library. If you want to share a EndNote library or a specific group or specific references, the best way to do so is creating a compressed library. This is also a good solution for creating a backup copy for yourself. As we all know, technology has a mind of its own. It changes on a day-to-day basis. So it's good practice just to have a backup copy of anything you're working on, whether it's a PowerPoint, a Word document, or an EndNote library. So creating a backup, you can make it a compressed library. You can also create a compressed library for all references, specific selected references, or references in a group or a group set. You also have a few more options of, do I want to include file attachments? This is going to be any full text PDFs you've attached to the references in your EndNote library. The main difference between with file attachments and without is going to be the size of your compressed library. Versus if you have it without file attachments, it might be a little bit smaller and easier to send in an email, which is another option you have. You can just select create, and maybe you just want to have that as a backup, but maybe you want to create an email to send this compressed library either to yourself or to another coworker. Everything I cover in the PowerPoint part, I will be showing in a live demonstration of how to go through these steps. But from here, you would open up the EndNote library you want to compress, and then go to File, and then right before Exit, Compress Library, and then choose the selections, and then go Next. But I'll show you what that looks like. Another great option is sharing a traveling library. So you have this option for exporting a traveling library if you or the person you're collaborating with has used EndNote to enter the citations into your Word document. And that's the key part. If you've used EndNote to enter the citations into your document, then you have the ability to export the traveling library. So this might be something you want to use if maybe you just can't find your EndNote library, or somebody forgot to include it in the email, or maybe a collaborator has switched jobs. Then you have the traveling library included in the manuscript. We recommend using this process for if you're collaborating between authors. You won't need to save multiple libraries like you would if you are sending a compressed library back and forth. So this just makes it a little bit more streamlined and easier. The steps for doing this is opening up the manuscript, the Word document, and also making sure, so you have that open, but you also have your EndNote desktop open, because you need the traveling library to have a place to land. So have the manuscript and have your EndNote desktop open. In the Word document, go to your EndNote X9 tab, select Export to EndNote, and then select Export Traveling Library. Two things: do not rename the traveling library if it has a name attached to it. And then once it has exported into EndNote, you want to immediately go back into your Word document and select Update Citations and Bibliography. This will also be in the EndNote X9 tab. By selecting Update Citations and Bibliography, this is helping reconnect the files so that the document and your EndNote library can then talk to each other. For this option, we can think about the first question we asked of how long we plan on working on this project. So this is going to be if you have multiple collaborators or if this is a long-term project, for example, a year or maybe 2 years. You want to think about creating placeholders in your Word document where you want to eventually insert citations. So in this example, I'm not even using my EndNote X9 tab. I have just placed my cursor in the Word document where I eventually want to put a citation. And instead, I just put a parentheses and you can write something like placeholder for Richardson 2019 here. Now, if you have, for this next example, for Camille 2012 and Lewis 2020, let's say you have 3 different references with Camille 2012. So I might want to go back in and add the first few words of the title name for that specific reference. That way I know exactly which Camille 2012 I'm talking about. And then when I get the okay from all the other collaborators, when we finish the manuscript, then I can go in, put my cursor right in front of the parentheses and insert the citations for the first time. So this is also a great option for if you are hybrid. I recommend putting the placeholders at home in your Word document. And then when you're on campus at your work computer, then go in and insert the citations. That way you're not losing anything between the back and forth. And it's less, this option is a way to allow for easy sharing of the document, and it also minimizes the chances of accidental errors. It's also important to point out that I know that this document doesn't have any EndNote coding because if I were to place my cursor inside of the parentheses, it will not turn gray. As we know, gray highlighted text tells us EndNote was used to insert the citations. But I know this is plain text because it is not going to turn gray when I put my cursor inside. And this will make a lot more sense when I do the live demonstration. I know this is a screenshot, but this is a very tried and true method and it works really well. So this is something to think about and to communicate with the other collaborators. The next 2 slides are more best practices just using EndNote. And so the first one we're going to talk about is track changes. If you are using track changes, or maybe you've never heard of track changes, I put 2 small examples in this Word document. It looks like red highlighted text, and then there's usually a comment on the right-hand side. And this could be something that, oh, I want to change out this EndNote citation, or I just need to reword something that either you've put in as a comment or collaborator has put in a comment to change. So if you see this, you know, okay, maybe track changes are on, let me go check. And you can do so by going to the review tab. And then I see the track changes button is grayed out, so I know that it's on. So I need to deselect it to turn off the track changes. And then I can go in, edit, manage my references or citations by then going into the EndNote tab. For some reason, this is a common occurrence. Sometimes track changes interrupts the Word document and EndNote library from connecting. So this is just something to think about before you go in and make changes in EndNote. So this might not be for everybody, but I know some people edit their output styles. And it's important to know if you have an edited output style, they do not travel with you between your computers. For example, if I made changes to an output style, for example, this first one, APA 6, no comma, in accordance to the journal requirements that I would like to submit my manuscript to. I've been using it at home and now I am going on campus, but I can't find it on my computer. It's not showing up in my Word document. What do I do? So first off, you want to make yourself organized. Create an EndNote folder on your computer or both computers. So for example, I've created an EndNote folder. Inside that, I have 2 other folders, one for my EndNote libraries and one for my output styles. So the first 2 you can see I've edited, and then the last one was just one that I downloaded from endnote.com. For me to then have access to it from my on-campus computer, I need to email it to myself. So all I need to do is open up a blank email, drag and drop it as an attachment into that email, and send it to myself. From the second computer, I need to save it into another organized EndNote file, and then it doesn't automatically update into your Word document. So I need to go into Word, select Output Style, and then select the first option of Select Another Style. Then I can go in and search for APA 6, select it, and then it will automatically update the Word document that I'm using. So now we've talked about EndNote Desktop, we are going to talk about EndNote Online and then move into our live demonstration. For EndNote Online, we remember this is going to specifically be if you are on VX Remote or on a personal computer. To do so for example, if you are using VX Remote, you're going to launch that, log in, and then you're going to open up an internet browser to access EndNote.com. That's the website you're going to. And you want to use Firefox for EndNote.com. From the website, you are going to go to the upper right-hand corner and click on EndNote Online Login, and then select Register. This is a free account. You can use any email address of your choice. It can be a personal email address at gmail.com, at yahoo.com, or it can be your MD Anderson email address. Both are accepted. It's personal preference. Once you have logged in and created your account, you want to have the ability to capture references, and they've created a tool just to do so. It's pretty easy. You are going to select the last tab, which is going to be Downloads, and then the instructions are right there on the website. All you need to do is drag and drop the button into your bookmarks bar. Some people might call it a favorites bar or bookmarks toolbar. And then once you've dragged and dropped this button, all you need to do is go to a database such as Pubmed, and then you are able to use the capture reference tool. And I'll walk you through this because I know it doesn't make a lot of sense in this PowerPoint slide. Okay, so it looks like, thank you, David, for answering these questions I'm now seeing. Are there any other questions before we head into the live demo? This is hopefully going to make more sense once you can see everything in action. First, we are going to talk about compressing an EndNote library. So I have opened my EndNote desktop and opened the library I would like to use today, which is just Soraya demo. We can see that up here. Ooh, okay. And I want to compress the library, but I think I'm only going to compress a group. So what I want to do is go to File in the upper left-hand corner. And then right before Exit, we see Compressed Library, the .enlx. So I want to create an email because I want to send it to myself, or I could send it to a coworker. I want to do with file attachments. I'm going to leave this as is. I could do it without file attachments if I wanted to. And then we also see these three options. I can do all references in the library. So it's going to be everything. I can also choose a selected references or the references in a specific group or group set. So I'm going to click the drop down and I'm going to select Cohen and select next. And I'm going to go into my EndNote and I'm going to rename it Cohen Group. And it's saving as a compressed library. Select Save. And select OK because it's saying this might be too big, but it also might not. I have tested it. It did work before. Okay, so it looks like it's saying the server's busy. I'm just going to select switch to, and this should open up. Here it is. Sometimes it just takes a moment. Sometimes it takes more than a moment. But we have now the attachment here. I could email it to myself if that's who I wanted to send it to, or somebody else. And now I can also go into my documents, and I can see that I have the compressed group here. Now I can also double click to open it. We can see what saved. So this is the specific group that I compressed. It does have the attachments included for the references that do have the PDFs alongside with it. And this is exactly what I had been looking for. So once again, that is File, Compressed Library, and then you select the options that you would like to use. Any questions on creating a compressed library? Okay, not seeing anything in the chat. So, okay, it says, if a colleague sends a document and a compressed library, how do you use it? Where do you save the library to use? Okay, so great question. For example, if I had sent you the compressed group here, so we see that I had it just archived, but then when I double clicked to open it, now it has opened itself up where I have the ENL file and also the .data file, which, as we know, an EndNote library always is composed of two files, the .data, the .enl. But when it was a compressed library, it was just one file. But when I opened it opened up both of them. Now I can go back in, open this up again, and then you have access to the hypothetical full EndNote library, but this was just a group. So now you can go and use that and work with the documents. Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say, David. Someone asked about, is there a limit for number of references? It's really depending on, I think, Outlook on the time. As we saw, it was a little bit confused when I just tried to send this. So the bigger the library, I would recommend maybe not even adding attachments for it because it's going to double the size. It's a great question. So the next thing we want to show is track changes. So for this Word document example, I know that track changes has been used because we have the little dashed red line in the comments over here, but I don't know if it's currently on or not. So I can go to the Review tab at the top. And then where we see track changes, it is currently grayed out, so I know that it is on. I want to deselect it. And now I'm ready to go and make any edits or to the citations or to the references. So I can go in, and if I wanted to now remove this number 2 citation, I just put my cursor inside of it. It's turned gray, so I know that it was used with EndNote, and then go to my EndNote X9 tab, click Edit and Manage Citations, and then I can go in, remove the citation. Click OK. And that has been removed. And now that I've made all the changes that I want, I can go back in to review, turn track changes back on, save it. And if I need to send it back to a coworker or collaborator, then we can continue on using track changes. So this is something about, for some reason, it just causes issues. And this is a good form of practice to just go in, turn track changes off. It leaves all the comments and it doesn't alter anything. And then you can go and turn it back on. When you want to export a traveling library, and this is our recommended form because when you compress a library and send it back and forth, it's quite a lot, and you have to create a new library. For exporting a traveling library, it's a lot easier. It's just a lot more manageable, and there's going to be less chance of errors for this. So for this Word document, we're going to say that somebody just sent this to me, and I saved it. I have my EndNote open. Let me exit it. I have my EndNote library open or EndNote desktop open so that the traveling library has a place to land. Check for EndNote, check for the Word document. And now I'm going to go to the EndNote tab, export to EndNotes, and choose Export Traveling Library. And I'm going to say a new EndNote library and select OK. So for this, it's untitled, and that sometimes happens, but if it does have a file name, do not change it. In this case, I need to put something in. So I'm just going to say breast cancer. Okay, my keyboard is, there we go. Breast cancer, and then click Save. It's telling me my export's complete. Click OK. Then I can go into EndNotes, and we have the 7 references that were included in that document. Now, immediately I want to go back in to the document and click Update Citations and Bibliography. This is going to help connect the manuscript to the EndNote library. So now I can go in, add citations or make changes, and this is going to allow them to talk to each other. This is recommended once again because you aren't going to need to have multiple libraries, and it's always going to be attached to the document. So if you lose the EndNote library, it's going to be there, and it is going to be easier to send it in an email. This is the recommended form of sharing a library, but it's more of exporting the traveling library. The next thing that I wanted to show is creating placeholders. So instead of this being only 2 paragraphs, just imagine that it is at least 20 pages long, because you might be working on this for a year or more. This is also a good way for creating placeholders if you are working hybrid or have a lot of collaborators, because as much as we want to trust everyone that we're working with, it's very much the saying of too many cooks in the kitchen, where a lot of people can be doing a lot of different things, or maybe a team member has come and gone in the 2 years that you're working on this, and you're not sure what they had actually been doing in the document. So by creating placeholders, this is going to take out any of those possible errors. For example, I'm going to put my cursor here because I know eventually I want to put a citation in this spot, and I can write something that makes sense to me. So placeholder for Johnson, 1995 here. And then I can also put a placeholder for Colleen 2020, and maybe Matthew 2019. Now, of course, if I have 3 different Colleen 2020s, I might want to go in, put the first few words of the article title. So maybe it's surgery outcomes, so I know which specific reference I'm talking about. And also it helps the collaborators know which specific reference I'm talking about. And then I can also, maybe that's just the form you want to do, is always to include that. That's helpful. So it's really up to you about what makes sense. And then you can also say, the first few words of that beginning reference title. Then when you're ready and you have finished the manuscript, you have the okay for everyone in the team, you can go in, put the cursor in front of the placeholder. And once again, I know EndNote has not been used because I've put my cursor inside the parentheses here and here, and it is not graying out, which means there has been 0 EndNote coding behind this. So now I can go in, put my cursor in front of the first placeholder, go to the EndNote X9 tab, and click Insert Citation. And let's see. Oh, because I have the wrong library open. So that's another important thing to do is make sure you have the corresponding library you want to use. So this was just the example one for exporting the TravelLink library, but I want to use a different library. So this is another good form of practice. You always need to have the EndNote library you want to use open with the manuscript that you're working on. So when I'm ready, cursor in front of where I want it to go to Insert Citation. And now I can scroll down, find Johnson 1995, and click Insert. And it creates a citation as well as the bibliography. And now I can go in and remove this placeholder. And once again, the citation is grayed out because it has EndNote coding. And if I were to put my cursor inside of these parentheses, there's no EndNote coding here. So this is, I think, probably the best option for a lot of collaborators, or if you're working long-term, or if you're working hybrid, putting the placeholders in your document, then waiting until you are on campus to insert the citations. It's just going to cut out any possible worry and possible error. Awesome. Thank you, David. You were a rock star in the chat box. The next thing I wanted to point out is the edited output styles, where to find them, what to do. In my documents, I have my EndNote folder, and I have the libraries and the output styles here. So if I go to my output styles and I want to use, let's say, JAMA for this example, and it's not on my work computer, so I can see that maybe I go to the output style and it's not showing up, but it had been at my computer at home. So I need to send this to myself. So I need to open up a new message, this one, and then I can just drag and drop edited output style that I've used in here and then send it to myself. From the computer that I'm using, I'm just going to save it into an organized EndNote folder, for example, your output styles folder. And then you need to go in to your manuscript because it's not going to automatically just show up right here because we can see it's still not there. So I need to go to select another style, the first option, and then I can search for it. So JAMA example, click OK. And then it automatically updated it here. So that's just something that I think isn't common knowledge, that the edited output style doesn't travel with you for your computer. So it's can be kind of alarming when it's not there and it's something you've been using on a frequent basis. So you just need to open up a new email, send it to yourself, and it's just small little tricks. Now we are going to move into EndNote Online, which, as we remember, I need to use Firefox because it works best in that specific browser. So I'm going to my Start menu and scrolling down for Firefox, opening this up, and going to EndNote.com. Once we get to EndNote.com, in the upper right-hand corner, we see EndNote Online Login. I'm going to select this. And to register, I need to, oh, okay, it'll automatically sign me in. Sign out. Okay, take two. We're going to EndNote.com. And then selecting EndNote Online Login in the upper right-hand corner. And then you're going to select Register if you haven't already created an account. So when you select Register, it already puts my information in, but you do not have to use your MD Anderson email address. You can use a Gmail, a Yahoo, any other option. Create your passcode, and when you're ready, click Register. Since I already have one, I'm just going to go back and log in. And then to help us export references into our EndNote Online account, we want to get the capture reference tool. And we can find that in this last tab of downloads. And then the instructions are just as we talked about before, they're right here. All you need to do is drag and drop this little button here to our bookmarks tab. So I'm going to select it, drag and drop. And now it is right here. So let's go into Pubmed and see how this works. Now, whenever you use Pubmed, you want to access it from the library's website. So I'm going to open up a new tab and go to the library website, which is mdanderson.org/library. And I'm going to scroll down where we see Search Pubmed. I'm just going to do a simple search for cancer and press enter. And maybe I want something specifically written by an MD Anderson author. I'm going to select this filter. And this first option looks interesting. So I'm going to select the title. Great question. So you want to access Pubmed through the library website because you are going to have access to all of our library subscriptions. So for example, this filter I just added, MD Anderson authors, that's not going to show up if you just Googled Pubmed and then accessed it that way. Pubmed is free to use, but through the library, we have library subscription to get you full text to a lot of these references. So you always want to do that. And you even know that you've accessed it one way by seeing these unique filters. These are ones that research librarians have created for you. And another way we know, let me go back to the library website. And if I just clicked this icon for Pubmed, it's going to open up to a new tab. But I know I've accessed it because at the very end, it says MD Anderson Cancer Center, LIB for library. So it's just going to get you access to full text. And if we don't have it in full text that way, you can use our free service for interlibrary loan, and we can try and get the full text for you that way. Now let's go in, and if this first option, I think this looks like something I'm interested in, yes, you can add that tab to a bookmark. That's a great solution because I know sometimes maybe you don't want to keep going back to the library website. So that's perfect. Okay, so I'm going to select this title here. And this brings up the citation page. And I can read a little bit about the abstract, just verify that this is something I want to bring into my EndNote Online account. When I'm ready, all I need to do is click the Capture Reference tool that we just added, select, and this box is going to open up. And I can see here that it has automatically filled in some information into these fields, which is really wonderful. And then I scroll down to the bottom and I can say save to. I do have the option of choosing maybe to a specific group, but I'm just going to say save to my endnote.com. And now it says the reference was captured into unfiled just because I didn't choose a specific group successfully. So I should be able to go back in to my references. And let's see, unfiled. Yep, right here. So the one quirk about EndNote Online is you have to specifically go in to the citation page, which is right here, to use the capture reference. And let me show you what I mean. So let's go back to search results. If I try to do a checkbox on one or even multiple ones, and then clicked capture reference, it's really only going to tell me the search I did, which was I typed in cancer into Pubmed for 2021, and nothing else has been captured. So that's not helpful to me. I wanted to get these 3 specific references. So I need to close out and I have to go into this specific citation page and then click capture reference. And now all the fields have been added. And then I can go in at the very bottom and click save to. And it has been captured successfully. So that's just one of the quirks of EndNote Online, which is why I always recommend using EndNote Desktop if that is available to you, because it's a lot easier to use, not as cumbersome. So that is everything I had to cover for today's agenda. Are there any other questions or comments? Maybe there's a best practice that you've personally discovered through this past year and a half while working from home or working hybrid that you'd like to share. This is the perfect time and space to discuss. So while I'm going to give you a moment to type or ponder any additional questions or comments, I did want to point out the EndNote guide of where that lives. I will include the link to the follow-up email, but sometimes we lose track of things. So where can we find it? From the library website, if we go to the classes tab and then select EndNote, scroll down a tiny bit where we see learn more with our EndNote guide. If I select this, then we have step-by-step instructions with screenshots here. So a lot of what I've covered can be found in our EndNote guide. And if you have any additional questions later on and you want to request a consultation, you have my email address, but of course you can, whether it's EndNote or something completely different, you can go to services, select request a consultation. You can also click on this big icon here. And you just fill in this with your information, what you want to discuss, how you'd like to meet. And if you have a Word document that is relevant to what you want to talk about, go ahead and put it here. That way, the person you're going to talk about with knows a little bit more of what the situation is. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. So that wraps it up. I'm going to leave time for more questions. If you have your phone handy, go ahead and open it up and to your camera, direct it to the QR code. This is going to open up our class survey. If you want to learn about something more specific or have feedback for us, this is the perfect avenue for that. The link to the EndNote guide is here as well. You can also reach out to us via email at rml-help@mdanderson.org. I'm going to stick around for a few more minutes, but I also know that people have busy schedules, so I am happy to give back 10 minutes of your time. And I wanted to say thank you again for attending. Thank you for your questions and comments. And please reach out with anything you would like to talk more about. And thank you again, David, for helping with the chat.
My pleasure. It was a great class. Lots of great questions.
Yes, a lot of good questions. You're welcome. Thank you, everyone.